Welcome to Mom Bods and Margaritas, where two childhood friends navigate the wild and crazy world of midlife.
That's right. We're diving into the ups and downs of relationships, motherhood, health, sports, and everything in between.
Join us as we share our personal stories, laugh through the challenges, and explore how to thrive in this transformative phase of life. Whether you're feeling lost, empowered, or somewhere in between, we're here to remind you you're not alone.
So grab a coffee or a margarita, settle in, and let's embark on this journey together. It's time to embrace the chaos and celebrate the beauty of midlife. Let's get started.
Well, how has your day been?
Well, it's been a long day. I've been very busy and worked a little late, so got home a little late. And then, this technology, guys, with our podcast, poor Lisa, and now it's rubbing off on me. I apparently, can't do anything technically correct, even though when we test it, it works. And then when she's at her house and I'm at my house, it doesn't work. But it's okay. We're here and I don't have a margarita either, so that's a problem. But here we are. How was your day?
It actually has been a lot. The past 2 days for me have been a lot. I've just had so much going on here at the house. But I've also had a lot of interruptions. And I know that sounds kind of bad, but I had some things I had to get done. And my oldest son came over for a little bit yesterday, so that kind of interrupted my day. But there were stuff that he and I needed to do for his PTA school. That took hours. Then I had to wrap up the podcast episode that dropped today. I got pushed back on doing that, to finish that up when he came over. And then that just carried over into today. Then I had to get back out to drop off my son's car. And it's just, my smoke alarm went off the whole day long. And I tried to change the batteries like 2 separate times. I was like at 5:15, 5:30, I was still working on it.
I cannot stand that.
So I was trying to figure out how to unplug the wires from the actual, little thing. And I've got like marks on my fingers. Anyway, it's just been one of those days where there's just not enough hours in the day, but I do have mine. It's just hidden. So
I'm so jealous. I did not have time to make one, and do have the tequila, probably have the mix somewhere, don't have any salt, don't have any tahini. I'm on the struggle bus today.
I know. I feel so bad for you because to me, like this garage band thing is a piece of cake compared to what I was having to deal with last year. So I'm just like, it's no big deal. I mean, if we can just get sound, it'll be no big deal. So hopefully even next season, it'll be a little bit easier and we can get some more things figured out.
It takes time. I mean, I feel bad for you because I get so frustrated. I don't have the patience level that Lisa has. I truly don't. And I get pretty aggravated when something doesn't work correctly, especially when I'm in a time crunch. Like when I say, hey, we're getting on here at whatever time, 6:15 was today. Hey, whenever we get on here, I want to be on time. And it seems like I cannot get my technology to work. And so that's just payback for last season where you were pulling your hair out.
We'll get it together one day. I may vent a little bit on here today. I am going in a little bit different direction because I made the mistake of getting on social media today. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight was a current event. It happened yesterday. It was the Blue Origin ride. So it was the rocket ride with the all-female passengers. Okay. It was celebrities, basically. And I watched it live yesterday morning. I actually enjoyed it, but I like watching rocket launches and that type of thing, surprisingly, but I do. So I watched all of this yesterday and watched all of the women come out of the capsule after it landed and watched their interviews. They were all so emotional. And later in the day, snippets of inside of that little capsule were put out there. Well, apparently, everyone and their mother is just going to town on these women. Okay. So I was a little bit taken back, and I'm going to try to like refrain myself from not going too much into this. But anyway, so for those that don't know anything about it, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, is one of the founders, I believe, of Blue Origin. So listen, it's basically just a ride up into the the inner parts of space, okay? The Carmen line, I believe it is. And it's like an 11-minute ride.
Mm-hmm.
I say civilians. Maybe I shouldn't say that because I know that's more geared towards military, but basically, they're not astronauts. It's
Right.
not a crew. And I think that's what some of the issue with people out there are saying, because they have been called astronauts. The lady that was interviewing all of them would say, "Congratulations, you're now an astronaut," or and I get that that can be a little to some people. They're not
Sure.
astronauts. They didn't fly
Sure.
the rocket. It's not a crew. I get all
Yeah.
that. And I can respect that because I have a lot of respect for the work and the time that astronauts, the training that they really do put into going to space.
Sure.
So, but anyway, I digress. So the six ladies that went on this ride were Gail King. We all know who that is, Oprah's best friend.
Yes.
And I think she's a CBS morning co host. Katy
Yes.
Perry, pop star. Lauren Sanchez, who is Jeff Bezos' fiance, but she's
Yes.
also very smart. I think she was a journalist. I think she is a helicopter pilot. She started her own company, if I'm not mistaken. So props to her. And then I think I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I think it's Aisha Bowe,
Mm-hmm.
who was an aerospace engineer. Amanda Nguyen, I think is how you pronounce her name. She's a bioastronautic research scientist. And then Carrie Ann Flynn, a movie producer. Okay, so great women. But a lot of people on social media have issues with them spending this amount of money to go up for an 11-minute ride. And I'm not going to get on my soapbox about this, but I
Yeah.
always find it very interesting that people like to worry about what other people are doing with their money. Okay.
Yes.
And I would be willing to bet that every one of those women give to charities. They give money away. I'm not going to get into it, but it's like how much is enough to satisfy you people? If they have the money to do both, why do you care?
Yeah.
Why do you
Well,
care?
first of all, they care because if they gave away 99% of their money, they would still complain about what they did with the 1%. People are not ever happy. Everybody's judgy, everybody's critical. If you want to be just run down the road, put something on the internet. And I mean,
Exactly.
we're sticking our necks out. I'm surprised we haven't just been beat to hell, to be honest.
We don't
But
have enough people listening to be offended, I guess.
yeah, that's true. I mean, our 30 subscribers. But I will say this, and I don't have an opinion one way or the other about Blue Origin because I really don't care. I mean, genuinely, I don't care.
Right.
But I will say this, and maybe I'm getting off topic, but when Katy Perry got off of it and kissed the ground when they landed, okay, if nobody on here has ever seen, I guess it's tweets. I think it's on X. I don't think it's Instagram, but
Threads.
The Wendy's account, they are savage.
Oh, yes.
They,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, okay, they are savage. And when I say Wendy's, I'm talking about Wendy's, the hamburger place for everybody. Okay, I guess it's their X account. They put out, can we send her back? With a picture of her kissing the ground. And I have laughed about it all afternoon.
That's so funny.
Because after you mentioned Blue Origin to me today, I saw it and it has cracked me up because, some of the fast food places, Popeyes and Wendy's and all that, they just go in and it is the funniest thing. And so I just had to say that for a light note on it because I know people are shredding them. Yeah, it is X, but apparently it says Wendy's official X account threw shade at the California girls hitmaker. It was 11 minutes. And then they put, can we send her back?
They usually have pretty good comebacks on
They
stuff.
do. They do. And you have to appreciate it because it's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, if what's funny is funny. So,
Yeah.
but I've also heard that people are saying that it was fake or that they really
Yeah.
didn't go to space and it's just, this zero gravity and all that. So, what do I know? But I tried to look up
Yeah.
that information. So they went right at the Kármán line, which right when you get above that, you are considered in space if I'm not mistaken, and it is zero gravity, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So do we think that the ride was fake? I saw someone, it may have been on Instagram or TikTok or Reels or something, where they wanted to see the inside of the capsule when they were going up and coming down. So to me, I find that odd because there were people there watching. There were people at the watchtower, like people in real life watching this rocket go up. I understand that it's like fully autonomous and there's not a pilot up there. Like, but who cares? So
Yeah.
I don't I don't understand. And it did show them when they were up there, you could look out and see Earth and the clouds and the moon and all that. But at the end of the day, if they want to spend their money on that, whatever. I still think it's really cool. I wouldn't want to do it personally. I'm not going up there. I don't want to go that far
Yeah.
up. And I can really honestly appreciate several of them kissing the ground when they got back. They went over 2,000 miles per hour going
Yeah.
up. You're over 60 miles up. I don't even like to fly, and that's 5 miles up
Yeah.
usually at most, 5 to
Yeah.
7. So, I don't understand why there's some people that don't think it's real.
Yeah. I think you just get shredded online. I mean, first of all, they're going to say, why are they spending their money on that? It's a ridiculous waste of resources. Then the next thread is going to be, well, why don't they send us pictures? We don't even think they went. And then there's going to be, well, they didn't actually go into space. They just went above 300 clouds. And then the next thing, there, people are always going to have something to say. And you just kind of have to live your life. I mean, honestly, you can't please everybody.
No.
And there's just really no reason trying.
Well, the last thing I will say on this subject, because like I said, I did watch all of their interviews when they got out and they saw their families, and so they came over and they spoke for 5 or 10 minutes. And I think it was the Aisha lady who was speaking, and the interviewer asked, or she said, so this was a dream of yours. How do you feel now that you've achieved it? And her answer is, like I picked the right dream. That really hit me. And again, these emotions that these ladies had, they were genuine.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think any of them were faking tears. There was no point in it. But for her to say that was a dream, maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's not for you. Maybe it's not for your neighbor. But a
Yeah.
lot of these women are either pilots, they're engineers, their careers are entangled with space exploration. And so if it's their dream and they got to go up 62 miles and float at zero
Mm-hmm.
gravity or whatever it was,
Yeah.
what's the big deal? Was can you imagine seeing that? It's got to be extraordinary.
Yeah. And again, talking about people being critical, if that was their dream and they achieved it, there's probably also a level of jealousy. People that are like, I'm mad that they have that much money that they get to do things like that, that they want to. that they get to fulfill their dreams. I mean, if you want more money, work harder. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I know it's not cut and dry. There's been a lot of adversity in my life. But if you want something, go get it. That's what my grandfather always told me. If you want something, go get it. He never said, well, you can't do that because you're a girl, or you can't do that because you don't have a PhD, or you can't do that because of X. I mean, just go live your life and, put effort in and do the things that you want to do. And when you do accomplish your goals or you do reach your dream, don't let other people minimize it. I mean, it doesn't matter if your goal is to, run a 5K. If you run a 5K, be proud of yourself and be
Right.
happy about it. You don't have to live under everybody else's opinions. And people are so critical. They always have something to say. And especially when someone else is doing well, they
Right.
always have something to say. So,
Right.
but go Wendy's, because that cracked me up. I always love those satire type comments. So it
Yeah,
was
well, as
fun.
my husband always says, two things can be true at the same time. You can
Yeah,
think that this Blue Origin thing is really cool and I may be in the minority, but you can also think that the Wendy's X account is pretty funny too.
that's
So,
right.
they don't cancel each other out.
Yeah, yeah. Mutually exclusive, they are not. So,
Right.
so I just saw a couple of pretty funny headlines that I thought, I don't know why I think it's funny, but the, these just kind of tickled me. So I have them on my phone here, so forgive me for looking down. But Spanish police arrest two people linked to cat smuggling ring based in Mallorca. I'm like, cat smuggling.
Who would smuggle cats?
Now
Yuck.
that I will judge and that I will criticize. Like, what are you doing with your life choices? And why do you have to smuggle them? In my old neighborhood, you couldn't drive 5 feet without seeing one running into a gutter. You don't have to smuggle them, they're everywhere.
Exactly. Dogs are so much better than cats.
They are. Don't come at us. Um, Another funny one that I thought was pretty cute is a beloved pet tortoise is reunited with its family weeks after disappearing in a Mississippi tornado. Can you imagine that poor
Oh,
tortoise getting carted off by a tornado and then
it
just
got
walking?
it got flown around. At least it had a hard shell.
He did. He had his own. He had his own shelter, his own bunker. But then
Bless.
apparently he came back home. It returned home.
Well, he must
I,
have not gone too far if he was able to walk back home.
I've died at that.
What else you got?
Okay, let's see. I took pictures of a lot of them. This one's sweet, and this, they're highly intelligent. Elephants at San Diego's Safari Park huddle to protect their calves during an earthquake.
Oh,
And that one made me tear up a little bit.
that is sweet.
They always try to protect their babies, and they are huge and they're ruthless. If you try to get
Yeah,
near their babies, so pretty
that's
cute.
sweet.
And this one is, I think these people get the Ding Dong Award. Um, Police detained 6 climbers who wanted to scale Cologne's famous cathedral. So, Cologne, I believe, the famous cathedral, it looks like pictures at night. Now, I don't know if they tried to do it at night or they tried to do it during the day, but that's pretty crazy.
Did they
I
make any
I don't
progress?
know. I don't know the outcome. They detained them, so I don't know if they made it to the top. Yeah.
Well, I've got a local headline, and it's actually really cool. But me being me, I was like, eh. So I think it was this. What are we in? April? Yes. So it was this month. I think it was just a couple of days ago. So apparently, let me put my glasses on so I can't hardly read. So who knew that there was something that goes on? I guess this goes on every year. and it is a statewide manufacturing madness competition. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So the Pac 3 Seeker missile that's made by Boeing in Huntsville, out of
Mm-hmm.
Huntsville,
Yeah.
was named the 2025 coolest thing made in Alabama.
Oh,
So, and I looked at pictures, it is pretty cool, but I was like, hmm, um, I know some pretty cool vans that
I
get
was gonna
made.
say I don't think that's the coolest thing that's made in Alabama, but
Know some vans and some big old trucks and all that. And so I was like, I have got to like text my husband and ask, did you know about this? And why are y'all not involved in this? I mean, can you imagine that big old hilt and the big ginormous, I think he's changed the
yeah.
name. I should know this because it's my husband's company. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So it was right here in Alabama.
Well, and Lisa can obviously tell you much more about it, but she's not going to brag on Jeffrey openly like I will. I'll steal the thunder there because she's not going to promote how awesome their company is. But um, they build some really cool stuff. And Lisa and Jeffrey took me on a tour. And when she says van, she's way underselling it. And when she says truck, she's way underselling it. So it's a house on wheels. It's more than that though. It's van life. It's you can go live in the Mojave for a few days with the solar panel or whatever attached and run the whole
Yeah.
thing. But Lisa and I actually stayed in a van, one of their very first ones, like a prototype, one of the first samples, if you will. And we backed that thing up to the beach and we stayed there in it for a couple of days. And
And it
it
rode
was,
around with a 4-year-old tag on the back of it,
yeah, we
apparently.
did.
We just recently found out.
It wasn't 4 years old then, it was only two.
No, not then.
But
Oh,
yeah, those are really cool. So
well, thanks
exciting.
for that. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you're in the market and you're one of our 30 subscribers now, and you're looking for van life and RV life and all that kind of stuff, these vans are super cool. And it's called Storyteller Overland. So I'll give Jeffrey a plug there since Lisa's too modest to do that. And so it's just really awesome. And I'm proud of Jeffrey for all of his accomplishments and everything, and his foresight and his his intuition to start this. But I'm equally as proud of Lisa and her support, because without a supporting wife and family, you definitely can't work the kind of hours that he works, and have the freedom to do that kind of stuff, because she takes care of everything else. So I'm
Well,
really
thanks.
proud of both of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Moving on, um, there was a Michigan town that built a new library, and they moved 9,100 books one by one to their new home.
Oh my gosh.
So the picture that I saw was basically two rows of people, and they were passing the books from person to person to their new home.
That's old school.
Yeah. So it was
Doing it
only
old
like a
school.
block away. And so why box everything up and pack
I
it and
gotcha.
movers and all that? So it's only like a block to their new building. So they literally made a human chain and just were passing books.
Well, that makes sense.
I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah,
Not something you hear about every day.
that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I don't have any other headlines because I was so listen, I had me, I have my little list going. And
Yes.
I have been so excited to talk about Love on the Spectrum, but if you have more headlines that you want to talk about,
I
we
only
can do
have
that.
one more
Okay,
because it
go.
will affect you, because I want to know your thoughts. And I think
Okay.
it's I have my own thoughts about it, but okay, so hardwood. That
Mhm.
is basketball's longtime foundation. right? For years and years and years, people have been playing basketball on the hardwood. There is a German company that is trying to introduce the use of glass instead of hardwoods.
Why?
I have no idea. I don't know if I didn't get to read the full article. I just was like shocked by reading the headline. I'm like, what do you mean? The only thing I can think of, and I'll have to do some more research and talk about it on another episode, but the only thing I could think of is if they were able to put cameras or equipment or something below to get better intel about, play calling, or was it a travel, was it not, I mean, all these things. But to me, I was like, I cannot wait to tell Lisa this, because you just went to the Final Four.
I did, but several things. Number one, just aesthetically speaking, can you imagine the prints all over that and how dirty it would be? I can't
Yes.
even have a glass coffee table anymore
Yeah.
because it just gets so nasty.
Yeah.
And I would feel like that would scratch easily. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you fall and crack your head on that, I'm sure wood doesn't feel great either, but glass, that just, something's up with that.
Yeah.
We need more details on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they have the technology where it's more like a shatterproof windshield, or, something like that, where it's nearly impossible to break. But I agree with you. I think it's idiotic. But, you know, I'm also of the type, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and surely it's not any kind of technology reason, because Lord knows we do not need another reason to have to call more timeouts or have a
review
timeout
a
on the
play.
field, reviews. Like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
it already takes long enough. Can we move on?
Yes. Agreed.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Now we're at your favorite subject.
you and I have been watching Love on the Spectrum. We have talked about that show on here before,
Yes.
but this past week, you and I were both able to wrap up season 3. So we finally finished it, which it just came
Yes.
out a couple weeks ago. So it's not like we were super behind. But y'all, again, if you have not watched this show, I highly recommend it. It is the sweetest show, and it's just a dating show, basically. And listen, I know
Yeah.
all of y'all out there watch Bachelor and Bachelorette, Love Island, and all that. Okay, so
Yes.
you can watch some dating shows. This is no different, other than it's just individuals with disabilities. Like we've
Mm-hmm.
said before, most of them are either autistic or, a few, especially in past seasons, have Down syndromes, other medical issues. But it's just the sweetest thing, and I think that we can learn so much from them. I
Yes.
know that sometimes we kind of turn the table and want to figure out what we can offer to people with disabilities. But having worked with children with disabilities before, I will tell you that you will get far more out of it, whether you work with them or not. Just
Yes.
interacting, just learning about their lives and how they live and how they think and how they react and how they do. It's really, really cool. I know I'm getting off track, but every season, every episode, I cry. I laugh and I cry because they're funny and it's
Yes.
so sweet. I cry every single episode.
So if you don't want any spoilers, you better turn it off now. But I was so sad that Danny and Adon broke up, and it just kind of hurt my heart because they just, and I don't know, another piece of me was kind of like, well, good for them, because one of them was on one side of the issue. I won't give too much of it away.
Yeah,
And the other one was on the other side of the issue. And so good for them. They stood their ground. A lot of people don't do that.
right.
They compromise. These were core beliefs. This was not, oh, I'm not going to compromise because you want lemon and I want lime. It wasn't that. This was a very deep issue. especially for the two of them, and it should be a lot deeper for a lot of people
Absolutely.
dating. Um, but I was so proud of both of them for being true to what they believe and their core beliefs, not changing who they are, not compromising on that, and just standing on it. And, they broke up as a result and they were both upset and kind of shattered, but never did they once, you know, rethink the situation. And I think that's a lesson for all of us. If there's something that is that important and it is a core value and you have to compromise that to be with somebody, you don't need to be with them.
Absolutely. Well, that's a perfect example of what we can learn just by watching them and this show. And I think the commonality throughout the whole season, all 3 seasons, with every individual is now obviously they have guidance.
Yeah.
A lot of them may have um maybe a speech therapist or occupational therapist or a life coach. Many different doctors or therapists are in their
Mm-hmm.
lives, and so there's a dating coach on the show, and so
Yeah.
they are kind of um, given suggestions on how to navigate through life. But so
Mm-hmm.
are we. You
Yeah.
know, how many times do your parents tell you, "Say yes, ma'am," "Say no, ma'am," remember to say please, thank you. Remember when you go out on a date, open the door, pay, tip. We're all giving advice to our children on how to be a better person. These individuals are no different.
Yeah.
But to me, the common thread throughout all the seasons are they are all honest with each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're not ugly and they're not rude about it.
Yes.
They're very matter of fact. They're very honest. They're polite. Okay. And my husband and I talked about this last season where when we go out on dates or if we're approached by someone and they say, "Oh, well, and you didn't have a good time on the date," and they say, "Well, would you like to go out again?" What do? We don't want to say anything to them in person. We hem haw around and say, "Oh, well, maybe," or "Yeah, that might be great," and then we ghost them. We don't
Yeah.
respond to a text or we don't call back. Whereas these individuals will either say, "Yes, I like that," or "No, thank you, but I would just rather be friends. Would you be okay with being friends?" And
Yeah.
then they usually say yes, and they move on with their life. There's no games. It's not life shattering. They are honest and they move on, and everyone just goes about their day. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I have taken a lesson from them lately, and so I don't beat around the bush either. I'm like, no, I don't think we're a match. Thanks, though. You know, so I again, great lessons. I mean, I am going into season 3. Tanner was my favorite, like head and shoulders above the rest.
Mhm.
Connor is coming in strong.
I
I
love
think
Connor.
Connor may be my favorite now. He's the darling to me of season 3, and his little love affair with Georgie is just oh, it just makes me so happy. Just makes me swoon.
I cried over them for several episodes. I can almost feel myself getting choked up now. And again, if you watch them, I don't want to give too much away, but I think sometimes we think that people with disabilities don't have the same feelings or they don't go
Yes.
through relationships the same as we do. But if you watch this show, they get just as nervous.
Yeah.
Now they react differently than maybe you or
Mm-hmm.
I would. It's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more noticeable, but they get just as nervous. They are just as excited.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's sweet that Georgie was always very comforting to Connor. And
Mm-hmm.
she could recognize and pick up when he was overly nervous or if he was struggling a little bit. And it was just really sweet to watch them interact like that because,
Mm-hmm.
again, if that were us, I think you just have to watch the show to kind of get an idea because I really don't want to say too much, but take it for what it is. Think about your situations or past
Mm-hmm.
situations and how you dealt with a certain issue and watch how these, I keep wanting to call them kids because they're so young, but men and women,
Mm-hmm.
watch how they are dealing with this.
Yeah.
With the same everyday issues that we all deal with, wanting to be able to be independent enough to live on their own,
Mm-hmm.
dating, wanting to find love, wanting intimacy, all of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is really cute. And uh the Tyler and I forget her name. What's the girl's name who she lives by herself, but she that shows her spending time with her parents?
Madison, the new girl,
Yes.
love her.
Oh my gosh. They are so cute. And when they go to her parents' house, I am just, I was embarrassed. Like I had to literally bury my head a couple of times. I was like, okay, okay.
It was a little over the top. Now, listen, again, we won't give away too much, but they don't shy away from PDA. Okay. So I kept looking at their parents' reaction and I was thinking, what would I do if that were my child? They handled it really well.
Yes, they
But
did.
and then a couple of times the dad would be like, okay, and just turn. Or the parents would look at each other and just like laugh, like, what is going on? But they were just
I
in their own
almost
little
died.
world.
I almost died when he said I would have to get the hose. I
Yes.
have to turn the hose on you too.
And they're just like, oh, okay. It's so funny, but I follow a lot of those people on Instagram. Just
Yeah.
about every one of them has an Instagram account. So I just recently started following Madison. I do like Perry. She's the other new girl, but
Yes.
Madison is just adorable and her little nose scrunch when she
I know.
smiles.
She's so
She is
cute.
the cutest thing. She's so sweet. But yeah, if you follow them, they all post regularly on their Instagram accounts. So obviously I think the show was filmed about 9 months ago,
Hmm.
much like any show. So you're kind of on the tail end of it. But yeah, you guys need to check it out. It's on Netflix. And I
Oh,
will say one last thing. I mentioned it before. On season one, they had I keep calling it the English version, but I really think they were either in New Zealand or Australia or somewhere. But if
yes.
you did you watch that one?
Yes, I watched part of it.
Okay.
Michael, the,
Yes.
okay, they're in Australia, I believe.
Okay, that's what I thought. Well, Michael was my favorite.
Yes, mine
he
too.
he cracks me up again. You got to check it out. It's so smart. They're all so smart. But he does like some acting stuff now because I
Mm.
follow him. So I think he was in some kind of show or movie or something. But he's hilarious, y'all. Some of these guys on here are so witty and
Yes.
so funny. And
Connor.
Connor's the other one.
Yes.
Um, Sometimes they try to be, and sometimes they don't. They are just
Yes.
funny. Their families are great. I love
Yes.
Connor's family. I love Abby's mom and David's family.
Yes.
All of them. Even James's parents. They're quirky, but they are so funny. His dad cracks me up.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, y'all! You have to watch it.
When his mom is like, I think this is a nicer place. You have to go put on some pants because he wanted to wear shorts. He was so, y'all, if you have not seen it, he is so outdone with them on the daily. He's just, oh, he just has this grunt and this sigh like my life is over. And it
Yes.
is hysterical.
His Instagram account is I don't want to say the most interesting, but he will post a lot on political issues.
Yeah.
So it's just funny because he'll just have the camera up and so he's just talking and or it's not even necessarily political. It is a lot, but he speaks his piece like I don't care if he can say, whatever, it's his page. If
Yeah.
I don't like it, I cannot follow him, you know. But some of the things that he says, he will just get on a rant or go off about it. And it's just so funny. I just really appreciate that about him
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he really is smart. They're all so smart and
Oh,
funny.
yeah. Yeah. And Abby and David, and I will just say that they are wasting a huge opportunity if they do not get her as a Disney character right now.
And she's actually got a really pretty voice too.
She does. That's what I'm saying. She should be a Disney princess character. She should be doing the voiceover and the whole monologue, the singing, everything.
She would do great.
She would. They are
Well,
missing a big opportunity if they don't do that.
did you know that David's dad is like some highfalutin Hollywood attorney out there?
I heard that. I heard that he's just loaded
Well, I think he
and
represented Larry Flint was one of his clients, Kathy Griffin, just but you could kind of tell something was up because when it shows his home in a couple of episodes, you're like, okay, you live on the beach and Dana Point, you know, and he'll buy Abby like presents from Tiffany's and they went on a safari
I
a
was
couple of
about to
years
say
back.
took her on a safari.
Yes, they are. They're adorable.
And one of my favorite parts, and this ain't giving anything away, but they go to a winery and Abby likes Chardonnay. And so they're giving them these wines to taste, and she goes,
Yeah.
that's interesting, but I'm not interested.
Well,
David's like, I was pretending to drink it.
it's so funny that he said that because when it showed him sipping at one point, and I thought that I didn't pick up on it, but I kind of not noticed something was off. And then at the end, when they were talking about if they liked it, he was just like, "I wasn't really drinking; I was just pretending." And just again says it so matter of factly. It was just so funny. But again, he's there because Abby likes wine, and
Yes.
he wanted to do what she wanted to do.
Yes. It's
So
so
sweet.
cute. Yeah, that's going to be my motto from now on. I was going to be like, I was just pretending. Or that's interesting. I'm just not interested.
Or like when again, dang, I don't want to say too much, but I'll just say this. When Tanner was like, I said no. If I tell you, it won't hurt your feelings, right? I said no. And then
He
just,
said, I said no, and then thumbs up. Immediate thumbs up.
he's so cute. And
Uh,
I was bummed because, he's at Clemson
yeah,
and my family and I went through Clemson.
yeah.
Was it like 2 years ago or whatever? And had I known, I think it might have been right before I watched the show. We were on campus and Tanner would have been just a mile or so down the road working. He works at a hotel, but oh my gosh, I forgot to keep my phone on airplane mode. Hang on.
If you don't get a phone call this week, I'm going to be disappointed.
It wasn't my husband, but it was my son. So okay, I cut it on. Um, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, anyway, but that just sound like a stalker. So we'll move on. But yes, y'all please watch Love on the Spectrum. It's so
Yeah.
good.
I think one more quote I'm going to start using is one from Connor, where he says, "My ears work just fine. Speak."
Oh, mom, what did he say? Um,
I would think you were desperate.
something about uh Vikings. No, Vikings were in France, or what was it?
Oh
Come from
yes,
France. He called it France,
from the
though.
prawns. Yeah. And that when she said, "What would you say if I told you I kissed Tony on our first date?"
Oh,
Because they were talking about kissing on the first date, and he said, "I would say you were desperate." And then she said something like, "Well, I was just attracted to him." And then he said, "I thought you were just upset about being a single mom." I mean, he owns me. He is so funny. That has
oh
to
my
be in
God,
the
now I've got to
reel.
edit.
Yeah.
Gotta edit myself choking. Oh my God. He's so funny. Okay. Thanks, Connor. Thanks a lot, Connor. Moving on. So, I was going to talk about, I hope my throat clears up, a couple more things that I like to find. Now, it's not on Amazon, but, well, I guess you probably could get it on Amazon. A couple of things. You probably can't tell. My neck is so red. I'm sorry, y'all. But today, I have got this on my face. I don't know if you've ever heard of color science.
Oh, no.
So, this is like a tinted sunscreen.
Yeah.
So this is the Color Science face shield is what it says on here, the Flex. And it's like I think it's a 50 plus SPF. But anyway, point is, I got this from one of the estheticians at the spa that I go to. Now, she's like 28 years old, so her skin is young and flawless anyway. But when we finished my facial, this was a couple months ago, and so I was looking at her, and her skin was perfect. I'm talking about perfect, like I'm not just no wrinkles and no saggy skin, but just the complexion of her skin. She looked a little tanned, but it was just like a nice glow. And I said, what do you do to your skin? What do you have on your skin right now? And so she said, I just have on Color Science Flex. And I thought she was just saying it was like a sunscreen and it goes on white and just stays white. I didn't realize it was tinted. So
Mm-hmm.
when you actually squeeze this out, I'm not going to, but you can see how it's white on the tip.
Yeah.
But once you start to rub it in, the pigment activates. And so you can get different shades.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which one mine is. So I don't think you can really tell on here, but this is all I have on today. I don't have on foundation. I don't have on anything else on my face other than this tinted sunscreen.
Hmm.
So I really, really like it. So might be something to try if anyone like us with mature skin or even younger. If I would have done this when I was younger, my skin would probably look a lot different. But every time I go to the spa, they say, are you using sunscreen on your face? What are you using? And I don't put any sunscreen on my face unless I'm at the beach.
Yeah.
So this is a great way to have it and also get some color on your face.
Yeah. Well, and I actually bought some vitamin C serum. I didn't get the SkinCeuticals because that's just out of my price range right now. But I got the Peter Thomas Roth,
Hmm.
and they had it on sale. And so I got that. And I can tell the difference in my skin already. It looks more dewy, but it smells like burnt hair. I'm not even going to lie. Near me was someone doing a controlled burn not too long ago. And honestly, I was getting ready to go to bed one night and I put some on the first time I used it. I rubbed it in and I was like, oh my God, who is starting a fire this late? It was my skin. I kept smelling it, kept smelling it, kept smelling it because it's, of course, all over my face.
Right.
And it eventually it goes away, of course, or I couldn't wear it. But it just stinks for a while. And I was like, what is that smell? And I smelled it because I rub it on my hands, after. And I was like, oh my God, it's me. It smells
Does it
like
smell like that
feet.
when it's in the bottle or just once it gets
Well,
on
I
your
can't
skin?
smell it really in the bottle because it's a pump. It's not like, you know,
Yeah.
kind that you squirt on your hand in your hand with a dropper. It's a squirt, it's a pump. And I was like, Oh my God. And it stinks. And so now every time I put it on, I'm like, please dry, please dry, please dry, because I don't want to go somewhere and somebody be like, what's that smell? It smells like a forest fire.
It's crazy. My skin cuticle serum that I use, it's not a vitamin C cream. It's that hyaluronic acid. Isn't that it? I should know.
No, you
Anyway,
use the skin
I use
cuticle thing that you use is vitamin C.
mine is the
Yes.
CE. Okay. Well, I also have a vitamin C peptide. And so that's what I always think is my vitamin C. That's the Uncommon Beauty peptide. But the serum does, it smells a little strange too. So when I put it
Uh,
on my face at night, I always think that, like, if Jeffrey comes to tell me goodnight or something, that it's going to be like, what is that weird smell? It's not burnt hair, but it's not like a fresh smell anyway. It's not stinky. It's just an odd scent, I guess you would say. You
this,
wouldn't smell it if I was walking by, but if you got up in my face, you would, be able to smell it. So,
well, I put some on the other morning and I had a chiropractor appointment. And when I went in there, I was like, listen, if you smell burnt hair, it's my face. He's leaning right over me, adjusting my neck. And I'm like, he's going to smell it. He's like, I don't smell anything, but I can smell it until it
right,
like completely dissipates.
right.
But it is horrid. Next time you're at my house, I'm going to give you a squirt and you just rub some on your neck and you'll be like, oh my God, it stinks so bad. But it is making a difference in my face. So I like
Yeah,
it.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
Um, so something else that I bought the other day, and I've actually bought this before, but I don't go to Whole Foods very often. I think there's only one in the state of Alabama, and it's on
Yeah.
280. So it's just not super convenient. But have you ever had the Honey Mamas truffle
No.
bars? Oh my gosh. Listen, I don't remember how much these were for a box, but when you take it out, it just looks like it's the size of this box, and it's kind of perforated to like three stripes. Okay, but they're refrigerated. So you have to buy them in the refrigerated section at Whole Foods. I think other stores may have them. I don't know. I've only seen them there. But, if you're just looking for something that's Whole Foods ish and not jacked up with a bunch of preservatives and nonsense, this stuff is made from 8 ingredients. So it's paleo. Again, if you're into that, it's no refined sugar, gluten free, soy free, all that. But like
Mm.
this particular one, which I've already eaten, this is the cherry hazelnut.
Mm-hmm.
And the ingredients are organic raw honey, organic unrefined coconut oil, hazelnuts, organic alkalized cocoa powder, cherries, flake salt, vanilla extract, and pure almond extract.
Wow.
So it's, good foods for you. Now, a third of this whole thing is 120 calories. So again, if you're calorie counting, maybe it's not the best thing, but let me tell you, you would not believe how good these are. I've got another box in my refrigerator. I think it's the coconut fudge, maybe. I should have brought it in here so I could show you what it looks like, but it kind of looks like a brownie,
Mm-hmm.
but not quite. So they have probably, I think, 4 or 5 flavors at Whole Foods. But if you actually go to this website,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll see a lot of different flavors that you can just order online, but you do have to keep it refrigerated. So if you want a really good snack that's just not full of crap, y'all need to look into this stuff. This stuff is so good. I am so obsessed with this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so, if it's just a few bites of something sweet, you have a sweet tooth, and it's only 120 calories, I mean, that's perfect because that
Well,
keeps you from really overdoing it and eating a candy bar.
exactly. Or a piece of cake or an actual brownie. that probably has just as many calories and then a bunch of crap in it. So, but yeah, the Honey Mama's stuff
Yeah,
is so good. You'd be surprised at how good it is. I think
I'm gonna have to
sometimes
try it.
we think, well, because it's, no preservatives or it's like organic or whatever, that it's not going to taste as well. But you'd be surprised. It's really, really good. I wish it was not as expensive. I would just get boxes and boxes of them.
Well, that's a great idea. I'm gonna have to try it, and I'm also gonna have to make myself a margarita.
Oh, margarita.
Margarita.
Okay. You
Well,
got anything else?
I don't. I think that's it.
Um, I will say one more thing. I did mention last episode about that book written by the psychiatrist Judith Jones. So
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down a little bit more information. It's called High Functioning:
Mm-hmm.
Overcoming Your Hidden Depression and Reclaim Your Joy. So I know we've kind of talked about it before. I don't think either one of us are depressed. So I'm
No.
not wanting to read this because I feel depressed or that I don't have joy. But in case anyone didn't listen last week, she was on Jenna and Friends a couple of weeks ago, and I just listened to her speak about her book and her past experiences. Initially, I went into it thinking, this isn't going to be for me, but I was really um, kind of caught off guard at how interested I was in her story
Mm-hmm.
and just where she was going with all of this. So I thought, I'm going to read it. There's got to be some good tidbits in there. I downloaded it like 2 nights ago. So I did start reading it last night. I didn't get very far because I started late. Um, so I'll have to start on that. It's actually on my iPad. So maybe I can start on that here a couple of days. But I'm going to read it and let
Yeah.
everyone know what I think about it.
So this is the book that I was talking about. I Love Me More by Jenna Banks. And I've just started it. I've still haven't read any more of it because I'm in the middle of a huge small group Bible study thing at church, and I'm hosting it, so I have to read. And so I'm almost done with that. But this book, I've only read one chapter, and it is so, like you, it's like I don't know that I need it, but wow, there's a
Yeah.
lot of really impactful parts. So, um, again, don't take my word for it. I've only read one chapter, but so far I'm loving it, and it's kind of sucked me in. So I'm excited about it. But it's the subtitle is kind of, how to find happiness and success through self love. And so I think a lot of us think we love ourselves, but when you
Yeah.
start reading, you're like, maybe I don't. And
Right.
so I think it's anything is good and insightful that gives you a different perspective.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. Maybe we can get some listeners to check out some of these books too. And if you have it, listen, y'all, if you have any feedback on anything that we say, just comment somewhere. These videos get posted on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Or, some of y'all know us personally. You can text us or message us. We are always up for suggestions.
Yeah.
Um, and other opinions. If you have any questions about anything or you want us to talk about anything, let us know.
Yeah.
We're always
We
trying to think of new things to talk about.
Yeah, we love new ideas. So if you have suggestions for, you know, content or topics or things that you'd like to know more about, we would love to talk about it. I mean, we love to get on here and just randomly
Randomly.
talk about stuff, and I have a ball doing it. I know you do, but if there's something that you guys think, wow, why don't you talk about this? We'd love to. I mean, we try to stay away from super controversial topics, so that makes it a little hard sometimes. But we definitely don't have a problem giving our opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if we have enough people that want to all read a book together and we can talk about it for an episode or two, we're up for that too. Y'all just let us know and we can brainstorm on how to handle that.
yeah, absolutely. Well, have a good rest of your
All
week.
right. Y'all have a
Okay,
good week.
bye.
Bye.